Hey Transformers fans, how are you? Coming at you again with another review, this time taking a look at Power of the Prime's Voyager-class Elita-1. And wow, I gotta tell you, I'm very happy to finally have an Elita-1 in my collection. Never have had this character, but always, kind of along the lines of, how come we never got a decent RC until, just the last couple of years? How come we never got any of the other female Autobots until the last couple of years? Finally we have their leader, which is awesome. And I dig it. I mean, it's got some flaws. It's not 100% perfect, but for a mainline release of Elita-1 in a Voyager scale, it's great. And I'm definitely happy to have picked this one up. So I've got a couple of things as well that I want to talk about this particular figure in terms of quality control, because there's one issue in particular that I noticed that I fixed on it, but I want to call it out so that you're aware of it. And then there's also a couple of things that I've discovered that you can do to make this figure look really nice with almost like no effort. And I think a couple of other collectors have kind of called this out already. Unfortunately, I don't recall who it was. I'm not going to take 100% credit for it. But I do have kind of my own spin that I've added to it. So anyway, take a look at the box quick. You've got a really cool picture of Elita-1 there, looking sufficiently badass. She's bigger than the rest of the female Autobots. She's tougher than the rest of the female Autobots, which stands to reason because she should be, because she's essentially their Optimus Prime, which is awesome. Typical Power of the Primes. You've got your glyphs on the side of the box. Nice picture on the back there of Elita-1 in her robot mode and in her jet mode, which is a nice jet mode. I really like it. It's very, very funky. Kind of a combination between like a European fighter jet style, I think like a Saab, and some Cybertronian styling in there as well. You get your Autobot Enigma, sure. You've got your Prime armor feet. It does have the combiner gimmick, which I'm never going to combine it, but it's there if you want it. But yeah, so overall that's kind of the packaging, and then you can see this is supposed to be her combined mode on the side there, which looks cool, but like I said, to me it's just a standalone figure, and that's what I intend to use it out. So that's the package. In terms of accessories, she does come with the typical instructions. Not really a big deal. She does come with this really nice kind of collector card. It wasn't in a sleeve, like a plastic sleeve like the previous ones, so I'm not sure why they decided to cut that out, and apparently each one is a little bit different. It's got a different combiner or a different Power of the Prime thing with the figure, and gives you a little description. So this is Solus Prime combined with Elita-1, and it says, I don't know if you can read that, it says, forges epic weapons to bring down Decepticon combiners. So hey, that's pretty badass, so I dig that, so that's cool. But yeah, so collector cards with a nice artwork on it, so nice little thing to hang on to. The figure itself. So right out of the box, there's one thing that immediately I kind of noticed, but I wasn't 100% sure on what the problem was. And it's related to her feet. And I'm not sure if any other collectors have called this out in reviews or whatnot. Haven't done a whole lot of research on what other people have seen. But the feet on mine, you'll kind of see how if you hold it perfectly vertical, the feet have a little bit of a bevel to it, right, that go like that. And it matches the rest of the foot. You can kind of see the whole thing has like a slant on it, and that's obviously to aid in, stability when she's standing. This flap piece on mine, on both sides, was reversed. So they had the right foot on the left foot and the left foot on the right foot. So the slant on the toe was going the opposite way of the slant on the rest of the foot. Ugh, quality control. Anyway, I actually noticed, when I first noticed it, I did look at a couple of other pictures of this figure on the internet, and all of them have that problem. So I would imagine that this is universal to all Elita-1 figures. Now, fortunately, you can fix it because mine is fixed. I took the time to do it. But what you need to do is there's 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, that you got to take them off, because you can't just take this one screw out and pop the foot off, because there's a plastic hinge that's attached to the leg part that goes all the way through it. And you can't, you have to actually take the legs, the 2 halves of the leg apart, slide the foot off, replace them, slide it back on, and then put the legs together. Which all in all wouldn't necessarily be that big of a problem, except you've got this little spring-loaded combiner port on the bottom of the foot. So as soon as you take the foot apart, or the lower leg apart, that spring, you've got to reset it. And so you've really got to be careful to make sure that everything goes back in the right place. But overall, it's, you know, it's a 5-minute fix. You just got to be careful with it, and it makes it so that your Elita-1's feet are the way they should be. So be aware of that when you take it out of the box. The other thing that you're going to notice when you take it out of the box is that the stickers are crap. And I'm not mincing words, they really are. Like, there's bubbles on mine, they don't fit 100%. You know, they're lumpy, they're covering up all of the molding, just like on, you know, Power of the Prime Starscream did. You know, they overlap in places that they shouldn't. You know, you've got this beautiful silver sticker, and then it kind of goes half on the white and then overlaps on the gray of the nose. There's just all kinds of, like, why, Hasbro, would you not just give us a sticker sheet? If you're going to throw all those stickers on this figure, why wouldn't you give us a sticker sheet and let us do it ourselves? Because right now, like, the only stickers that are 100% on this thing for me are the Autobot logos. Those are the only ones that are actually in the right place. Because even on the, like, the chest logos, you can kind of see there's some overlap. Oh, I just better get it into frame. There's some overlap on the stickers on the edges, and, you know, like, they're cool stickers. I mean, these ones say, you know, Ariel Evolved because she used to be Ariel back, you know, and then these ones say E1, and, you know, she's got some cool stickers, but they're just poorly applied. So, I don't know. I mean, even if you didn't have the stickers, right, if all you had was a couple of Autobot logos here, you know, there's still more paint on this figure than the average one that we've been getting lately. You know, you've got white on this, on the hands, you've got some pink, you know, or peach on the chest, you know, gray on the legs and white on the feet. You know, there's still a decent amount of paint on it, but they throw the stickers on top and it just makes it look not nearly as good. So, yeah, I would recommend Hasbro, please start putting stickers on sheets and letting collectors apply them, because the people that either they're poor quality stickers, or the people that you have putting them on don't know how to do it. So that's one beef. In terms of the figure, other aspects of the figure, I like the proportions. You know, I mean, she should be, in my opinion, a little bit beefier, you know, and like armored up and, you know, ready for battle. So I'm okay with, like, the big boots and the big arms, and, you know, the beefy chest. The backpack doesn't bother me as much as it has in some other figures, because it's, you know, they do a better job, I guess, of folding it up. But I'm okay with all of that. The one thing that kind of bugs me, though, is that the head is, you know, proportionally, the head is relatively small. And you'll see what I mean in a few minutes when I show you one of the tricks that I came up with, or that that I've experimented with, that I think somebody else talked about, either on Twitter or on the forums. But yeah, it's a nice figure. You know, it's got ratchet joints in certain areas, which is great. But yeah, it's overall, it's very, very solid. I like it a lot. It does come with these two little pistols, which are the accessories, or the weapon accessories. And again, this is, you know, kind of one of my gripes about this figure, is those are pretty wimpy little guns for, you know, what is supposed to be the toughest, you know, female Autobot, the leader of the group. You know, she really should have a big honkin' blaster cannon, something like Prime does. But we'll get to that in a few minutes. And it's tougher to hold them. You know, the access to the 5mm peg hole in her hands, you know, you really need a long peg to get in it, and you need to have something that's doesn't have a lot hanging off the back, because it'll hit the wrist. And I'll show you what I mean in a few seconds. But she doesn't hold them terribly solidly, but, you know, it's okay. So generally what I do is I just leave these hanging off the back of her wings, you know, as kind of like, you know, wing blasters or something like that when she's in alt mode. So that's what I do there. I just leave them there. And I'll show you what I do for weapons for her in a minute. So, before I get to the transformation, I just want to show you a couple of scale comparisons. So I've got the rest of my female Autobot crew here to show off. So there's Generations RC Deluxe, Chromia, which is a great figure. I love that figure. Nice remold of the Transformers Prime RC. And then my other recent female Autobot acquisition, which is Moonracer. So they all look really, really nice together. I cannot wait to get Firestar, which is being released as Nova Star. But it's basically a redeco of Moonracer. So it's the same figure, same transformation, all that stuff. But it'll be the red and gray with the new head. And then I'll have all of the original female Autobot crew from G1. And that'll make me really happy, because these, you know, 4+1 figures total really will look nice together, especially with Elita-1 being sort of the centerpiece. Very, very happy with the way that this team is shaping up. get these out of the way. And so the first thing that I want to call out in terms of how can you remedy some of these situations is, you know, like I said, Elita-1 is designed to be a combiner as part of the Power of the Primes line, and it shares a lot of the same transformation as the Silverbolt mold and the Cyclonus mold that they used for the earlier combiners. So it's got the combiner head tucked in here, and you can kind of see it's a nice looking combiner head, right? It looks basically just like an upscaled version of her standard head. Now, like I said, I wish I knew who to originally credit with this, but I don't know off the top of my head. But this is on a mushroom post, right? So it's a pivot. So it's a pivot here, and then you can rotate it. The top head is on a ball joint. Now, some very smart person, smarter than me, discovered that if you pop off the combiner head off of the post, right, so that you've got it kind of on its own thing, then you can tuck this back in, get it out of the way. And if you pop off the regular head off of its ball joint, right, because that comes off relatively easily, let's take a look at the two different heads. So you can see there's a substantial size difference between them, and they look almost the same. You know, there's very, very little difference between them. I mean, if they had used this as the original Elita-1 head, you'd never know that it wasn't Elita-1. It's close enough. You know, I mean, yeah, the horns are a little different, and she's got the peak on her head, but it's still very, very, very close. Now, here's the cool thing. So we'll set this little head aside. If you take this and you kind of fold it up so that you get the T-post exposed, you can actually put that on, if I can get it. Ah, come on. You can get it on the mushroom peg, and then you kind of just have to, this flap here, hang on a second. So this flap can come out. So you just got to get that down, slide this on here, and then you can use the Elita-1 combiner head as the Elita-1, or the combiner head as the Elita-1 head. Now, I mean, you can't be too rough with it because it will fall off if you bump it too hard or anything like that. But I mean, it's not gonna shake off or anything like that. And you can still rotate it and tilt it and like look up and down and all that stuff, and it stays on. I mean, but that, like, look at that and tell me that that doesn't immediately improve the proportions of the figure in terms of like the arms and how the legs look and all that stuff. I mean, the head makes a huge difference in the figure. And then now, like, bringing these guys in, or these ladies in to compare, you can see proportionally, like, that looks awesome with that head on there. Now, you pretty much you have to pop it off for the transformation into jet mode because it's too big to fit in the same place that the smaller head fits. But again, that's a minor gripe. I mean, I can, for the number of times that I'm going to put her in jet mode, I'm okay with that. I mean, for displaying it on the shelf, I think that looks awesome. So I'm going to keep it like that for me. So let's get these guys out of the way again. And I want to show you one more thing. So when I was looking for weapons, extra weapons for Elita-1 to hold, because I've got, you know, miscellaneous bits here and there, I had a hard time, like I said, finding one that fit with, that had a long enough 5mm peg to fit in the hand, but didn't hit the back of her wrist, because it's, otherwise it stops it from fitting. But what I did find was this, and this is Motormaster's gun slash sword, right? Well, this gun blaster thing fits absolutely perfectly in her hand because it's got a nice long peg on it and it doesn't have anything hitting the back of her wrist. So that is a pretty awesome Elita-1 blaster, if you ask me. I like it. So that's what she's going to be holding. And the added bonus is it also comes with a sword that she can hold in the other hand. That works really well, just like the sword, the blaster does. So she can be, you know, fully armed with these awesome weapons. And you know what? Now she's got a blaster and she's got a sword, just like Prime has his blaster and Prime has his axe. This works really well for me, and I dig it. So with the bigger head and some weapon swapping, I think you've got a pretty wicked looking rendition of Elita-1 that is ready for some serious ass kicking. So that's what I'm doing with mine when I'm displaying it. So let's get right to it. So take this out now. You get the point. And also, I just recently saw that Repro Labels has come out with a set for this that does a whole overhaul of all of the stickers and looks great. So if you want to improve it even more, you could get that set and it looks great. So getting to the transformation, I'm just going to take the combiner head off just to make things easier to transform. It's very, very similar to the Cyclonus and Silverbolt mold from Combiner Wars. So you just fold these feet up, first one, and then you flip these flaps down on the inside of the legs. You know, the legs are a little different, but the body and the front part is pretty much the same. And then these legs, actually, you know what, first thing we should do, fold these arm flaps up and then get the wrists flipped around, just like that. And then these just kind of clip in to those little tabs like that. And we can kind of get those out of the way. That part done. There we go. So the arms are ready. And now this whole backpack is pretty clever the way they engineered it to collapse a bit more. So there's a peg in there that you kind of pull the backpack out of, and it rotates around and then kind of push it back down again. The wings sort of fold them out, and that's one of the things too about the wings is they don't have to be flat out like that. When you've got it in robot mode, there's a little slot there that is designed to fit in there. So if you fold these up, they can be a little bit more compact on the back. So just keep that in mind. Then the cockpit or nose section folds forward, kind of goes down there, straighten the wings out, and then the legs kind of, there's on this this hinge, I don't know if you can kind of see it there, but it goes like that. You kind of accordion it or collapse it into itself like that. Same thing on this one. And then there's a tab and a slot that goes in together. So let's go in there like that, and then everything just kind of tucks in, fits like that. There we go. And now for the arms, you've got a tab there, a slot there, everything goes fold down, and then you just got to finagle the tab into the slot like that. Same thing on this side, tab into the slot, and there you go. And now finally, you've got these bits here, and then there's a little tab there that fits in there, so you fold that down, and that fits in. Again, tab, slot, fold that down. That fits in. And then there you have, oh, also forgot the tail fins, those flip down. There you have Elita-1 in her jet mode. And, oh, flip the blasters around so they point the right direction, but it's kind of nice having those little wingtip blasters. I think they work really cool. And there you have Elita-1 in her jet mode. You know, it's obviously a little bit back heavy because of the size of the legs and stuff, but it's still, I think it looks really, really nice. It's a cool version of a jet. And then this little flip down landing gear at the front, so you can rest it like that. But yeah, overall, that's Elita-1. One of the other things too is you've got this little cockpit here that you can open up, and that is basically for the little Enigma accessory that you get with this, so you can kind of throw that in there if you want. I'm basically just keeping this aside, I'm not really using it for much. But yeah, so I guess the only other thing that I could cover is, you know, you do get 2 combiner feet to go with it, which are an improvement over the original combiner feet. You know, you've got a peg at the bottom where you can hold it for some reason. But then you've actually got an ankle pivot on it, and it's a nice solid ratchet ankle pivot, so you can get more posability out of the combiners and be a little bit more stable. So the feet themselves are a little bit more slender, and I guess that's probably because they always tend to make the female stuff a little bit, you know, more slender than the traditional male stuff for some reason. You know, they could make them the same, it's okay. But anyway, nice combiner feet if you decide to ever use this as a combiner. So yeah, that's my review of Elita-1. I'm very, very happy to have this in my collection at long last. You know, this character is one that I've liked for a long time and wanted to go with the rest of my female Autobots. And I think you can see, like, with those minor changes that I made, you know, flipping the head around, you know, using the combiner head as the main head, you know, giving her a couple of, you know, better blasters than what she comes with makes a huge difference in how it looks, especially on a shelf. So if that's inspired you to fiddle around with yours a little bit and make some changes, then, you know, have fun. Hope you enjoy it. But yeah, thanks very much for checking out this review. And I will do my best to get back to you all again with another one soon. Thanks very much, and have an awesome day.